Hi everyone, Jet86 here. Today I'm going to walk you through installing the Golem beta version 0.15.0 on Ubuntu desktop. So I've got here Ubuntu desktop 16.04 installed and fully up to date. So to begin with, we're going to jump into our browser and go to the Golem website, which is golem.network. And then we can click on download, click on download Golem, and keep scrolling down till we get to the Ubuntu installation instructions here. So we need to download an installer script. The easiest way will be to right click and go save link as, and we'll go ahead and save it in downloads. Now that should download basically instantly. So yes, it's downloaded. We can open the folder just to make sure it's in there, and there it is. So now that that's there, we can open our terminal, and we basically follow these instructions here. Basically what it does is set the script to be executable so we can actually run it, and then it runs the script. Now if you're copying and pasting, or if you're typing it out, just take note that there is at the moment a dot or a period at the end that shouldn't be there. So we just need to avoid that in the command. Oops. And we can then go ahead and run that, and that will begin installing Golem for us. Whoops. We of course first need to go into the folder that we downloaded it to. So if we go pwd, that gives us our present working directory, which is my home folder. So I need to change directories to the downloads folder, and then I can go ahead and run that script. Now it's going to check for any dependencies that we need to install and prompt us to install them. So Docker is one of them. Docker is used to run the actual computations inside a virtual machine. And we of course need administrative or sudo privileges to install this. So we type in our password and we'll go ahead and install Docker. Now installing these dependencies and installing Golem itself may take a bit of time, depending on your computer, your network connection, and so on. So I'm going to go ahead and speed up the video here so you don't have to sit and wait while it runs through my installer, but just be aware that as you install it, it may take longer than it does in this video. And there we go, it's finished installing, and it lets us know we need to restart to finish the installation. So I'm going to go ahead and restart now. Let it shut down and restart. And now once we log back in, Golem should have been successfully installed. Now with the version we've installed, 0.15.0, which is the first beta version that's been released, it actually supports both testnet and mainnet versions of Golem. The difference being whether you're using real ETH and GNT or just testnet ETH and GNT. So if you've never used the Golem app before, it may be worth running the testnet version just to get used to how it works before you go ahead and run the mainnet version. But we're actually going to go ahead and run the mainnet version now so that you can see how it all runs. The interface is virtually identical. It's just the difference that on mainnet, you will be using real Ethereum and GNT and earning real GNT. So to start the testnet version, you would simply type Golem. To start the mainnet version, you add -- mainnet flag at the end. Now this is going to launch Golem for us, and it's going to take us through some basic instructions while it first launches. So to begin with, it tells us that our ports need to be forwarded: 40102, 40103, and 3282. Golem will actually attempt to automatically forward them in your router via UPnP if your router supports it. So you may not need to do anything. And I'll show you how to test whether they are forwarded a bit later. But if they aren't forwarded, you may need to manually forward them as well. So we're going to go ahead and get started. It advises us that at the moment we're running on mainnet. And the first time you run it, you will need to read through and accept the terms and conditions. So we have to get all the way to the bottom of the terms and conditions before we can go ahead and accept it. And if you would like, this part is optional, but if you would like, you can tick to help Golem by sending anonymous statistics. And we go ahead and accept. And then we're going to need to create a password for our account. This is to protect our funds, our ETH and our GNT that are in the address associated with Golem, so that if someone did jump on your computer, they wouldn't be able to start up Golem and send those funds elsewhere without your password. So we're going to create a password. And click register. And this can take a little bit of time to actually create the account and protect it with the password. So you may need to be a little bit patient while it goes ahead and creates it. It shouldn't take too long, but it may take a little bit of time. Okay, so it's created that account, and now we can go ahead and jump into the actual application. It will prompt you to print a sheet of paper with your password on it. It can be a good idea to do that. You will need to, if you do go ahead and print it, make sure you secure that sheet of paper somewhere secure, because that password is what protects your funds. The idea behind printing it is that if you forget your password and you don't have that sheet of paper, you will be unable to recover your funds. So it is important to use a password that you can either remember, or better yet, print off this sheet of paper and store it somewhere very secure. Because this is just a demo, I'm going to skip this step, but you should probably go ahead and print that. Now, here it's prompting us for a name for our node. It's worth putting in something identifiable and memorable to you, but not personally identifying. And so I'm going to call this one Ubuntu Desktop Demo. It's limited for how long the name can be. I'll call it Ubuntu Desk Demo. And I'll show you a bit later, there's a statistics page where you can see all the currently connected nodes on the network, and this is where your node name will be useful. It takes us through the basics of the application. So the network tab is where you allocate your resources to run Golem and review what you've earned and what's in your address. Tasks is if you're wanting to actually request things to be computed on the network. That's where you create and monitor tasks. And then there's the docs button, which will take you to further documents for using and troubleshooting Golem. And as it says here, you're also welcome to join our public chat. That's chat.golem.network. Very useful to be a member of that, and it's free to join. And if you jump into the testers channel, you can get a lot of support if you're having any issues. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And this will take us in. And you can see up the top here, we've got the balance in GNT and in ETH for our address. And then we're in the resources section, which is where we allocate how much resources Golem is going to use. And then down in the bottom left here, this is what we want to see, a green dot with a number of nodes connected. And that shows that we are connecting to the network. A few things, as I mentioned, you need to have ports forwarded. So I'll show you now how to test that they are forwarded. If we go to the website canyouseeme.org and we want to check ports 3282, check port, it should come back green with success. If it comes back with a red failure message, it means your ports aren't forwarded. So in that case, you would need to go onto your router's configuration and actually manually forward those ports to get full connectivity. We also want to check 40102, success, and 40103. Great, so all three of those ports are correctly forwarded for us. As I said, if they're not, you'll need to manually forward them in your router's configuration page, and how to do that exactly differs from router to router. On the Golem docs page, there is basic instructions for doing that, or again, you can jump on the Golem testers channel on the chat.golem.network, and someone will be able to help you out there. The other thing you need to know, if you got stuck installing it, you may get a message about virtualization being disabled. You need to make sure in your computer's BIOS that you've enabled virtualization, which is either Intel VTX or AMD V, depending on what type of computer you have. So again, if you need to configure that, it will give you an error message. And if you need support, again, jump into chat.golem.network and jump on the testers channel. So what we probably want to do is jump across to the advanced tab. And this is where you set how much resources you're actually allocating to Golem from your computer to actually be used by Golem when you get tasks. So to change these, you need to actually click on Stop Golem so that you can edit them. And if you hover over the different options, it tells you what they are. So CPU is number of cores. I'm going to drop that to 2. So this computer has 4 cores, which means Golem will allow you to use a maximum of 3. It's always 1 less than how many you have so that your computer doesn't freeze or hang, which would be the case if it used all of them, obviously. RAM is measured in gigabytes, so I'm going to go ahead and drop that to 4 gig of RAM. And disk is also in gigabytes, so I'm going to set that to 20 gig. And then you can save that as a preset and have a bunch of different presets that you may like to change between. So I'm going to save that as medium, and then it'll be in there as medium. Now once you've changed it, obviously you need to start Golem again so that it can actually start using it. You'll notice once we stopped it, it went to no nodes connected. Now that we started again, it may take a little bit of time. It'll have to discover nodes again, but we should get back up to a number of nodes connected. And the maximum amount of directly connected nodes that you'll get is 10 nodes. So that's what you really want to see. The history tab will show you tasks you've successfully computed for others once you've done so. It'll take a little while, but if you leave Golem running, you will eventually get some tasks to compute, and they will show up under history. And then in resources, it shows you just a general slider of roughly what percentage of your resources are assigned. So based on the advanced tab, it's saying we've allocated about 62% of available resources to Golem. And the tasks tab is where you would add or create tasks if you want them to be computed by the network. So you can see we're connected to one other node, and as I said, it will slowly discover more and more nodes to connect directly to, and then yeah, if we leave it running, we will get tasks to compute. The other thing I'll show you is the stats page, stats.golem.network. This lists all of the nodes currently connected to the Golem network. And as you can see, there's quite a lot of nodes that are connected. And this is where it's useful to set a meaningful node name. Now I can go ahead and just do a find, and we can search for Ubuntu desk. Oops. And there is our node there, Ubuntu desk demo. Now, you'll notice that it jumps around a little bit occasionally because our nodes are constantly connecting and disconnecting from the network. This will show you as well how many tasks are completed, had error or timeout. So for ours it's obviously 0, but you can see this one above has completed 84 tasks, which it will have been paid GNT for, and had 33 tasks timed out. This page is useful particularly if you want to check remotely. If you're at work, for example, and you want to check that your node is still running at home, you can see if it's performed tasks or not, things like that. And that is Golem installed and running on Ubuntu desktop on the Golem mainnet.